Now, how is developing a show for FX different than developing a show for a network? Is there a difference?
Yeah. I mean, networks. Two things. One, the pace of it is different. Network schedule is very tight, and so it's on a secular cycle, and things happen. In a very. You sell it in July. You write the outline by early September. You hand in a draft before Thanksgiving. Cable's much slower, right? In every piece of it. The second is that. The difference between networks and cable, and the reason that of late cable's so much better is that network is broadcasting, right? If you get 9 million people on a network show, you're a failure. If you get 9 million people on cable, you're the biggest hit out there. You're even beyond The Walking Dead at the moment. And so in network, you're trying never to check off a box of people who won't watch the show for some reason. So you're constantly trying to avoid whatever it is that might have people go, oh, no, thank you. Not as a writer, you're not, but as an executive, they are. Whereas cable, they're not looking for a size of viewership, although they'd like it. They want just a loyal viewership, which is why shows like, Breaking Bad, even before it became what it is now, they had loyal viewers who were watching every single episode, and that was what they were selling to their advertisers.
Very cool. With Crash and Burn, you're sort of based on real life, right?
Yeah.
How do you go about developing a show based on real people, or is there a difference between developing that and developing something that comes completely out of your head?
It's not that different because even when you make stuff up, like when I was doing Miami Medical, I was basing it on stories I'd learned from actual trauma doctors, right? So there were real people involved. I mean, I think the interesting moment we're having right now is I was talking about this with my wife is that there's such a massive success in fantasy right now that I think is born out of the TV watching generation that we're currently in feels that the world is such a mess that they need something magical to save them. That's my theory, is that we're in this moment where people don't believe we can be saved by people. They want, that we've stepped over a line. We need something bigger and more romantic to save us. And so all these shows are coming out that live in that world. It may also be just because the demo generation out there grew up in that. So in that world, in the fantasy world, where you're dealing with witches and goblins and all that, they still have to have human emotions, but there are no witches and goblins to base it on. So Crash and Burn is about stunt people, and I'm using stories that I got from stunt people, but I'm not basing it on any specific ones. In the same way that my medical, it was about trauma doctors, even though they weren't about the specific trauma doctors.
Now, is there a part of you that is looking at these trends and going, oh, I've got to develop a fantasy show? Like, do you write that way, or what has to be involved in an idea for you to say, this is my next project?
I don't know. I don't think you can chase ideas. I really don't. There's always somebody bigger than you with more credits than you that's going to be going down that road. And so I feel like if you chase it, if I were to go now, okay, I'm going to go down a fantasy project, right? For that reason alone, I'd be behind 10 other writers who have bigger credits than I do. Or a bigger, they have a bigger, a director and a package, they have whatever. You have to find something that you can fall in love with. And then if it is in the genre of what's in, great. But you can't make that the reason you choose something.